You don't have to stay around people who constantly bring stress, drama, or negativity. Protecting your peace is not rude, it's necessary. Toxic people won't always change, but you can change how much access they have to you. Your mental health depends on the boundaries you set and the energy you allow. It's not weak to walk away from someone who disrespects you. It's strong to choose yourself before you lose yourself. Today we will talk about 13 clever ways to deal with toxic people. You will learn how to spot manipulation, stay calm under pressure, and protect your space without feeling guilty. These are smart, real-life strategies that you can use right away to stand your ground and stay in control. Whether it's at work, at home, or in your circle, you deserve better. If you're ready to stop letting toxic people drain your energy and start taking your power back, then let's dive in. Number 1. Limit conversations to protect your mental energy. Most people don't even realize it, but the energy they lose each day isn't always from work, from responsibilities, or from trying to keep life together. A big chunk of it leaks out through the conversations they have, especially with the wrong people. You talk to someone and you walk away feeling drained, frustrated, angry, or even worse, doubting yourself. That's not a coincidence. That's what happens when you allow toxic people too much space in your day. You don't have unlimited energy. You don't have unlimited focus. And if you keep giving your attention to people who only know how to take, eventually you'll run empty. And when you're running empty, it's hard to be your best self. It's hard to feel clear, confident, and strong. It's not that you're weak. It's that you're being pulled in too many directions that don't deserve your energy in the first place. This is where the first real step begins. You need to limit conversations, not in a rude way, not in a dramatic way, just with intention, with awareness. You don't need to take every phone call. You don't need to reply to every message right away. You don't need to sit in a room and listen to someone complain, gossip, or criticize for an hour just because they feel like talking. If someone has shown you through their patterns that every conversation leads to stress, guilt, confusion, or emotional exhaustion, you're allowed to start stepping back. And no, that doesn't make you cold. That doesn't make you selfish. That makes you someone who understands the value of your peace. Most people wait until they're completely burned out before they realize they've had enough. But burnout doesn't just come from doing too much. It also comes from allowing the wrong kinds of conversations to invade your head every single day. Imagine this. You start your morning with good intentions. You've got goals, priorities, maybe even a little excitement about the day. But then you get a call from someone who only wants to complain. They talk about what's wrong with the world, what's wrong with their life, what someone else did or didn't do. By the time you hang up, your motivation's gone. You feel heavy. And you're wondering why you're so emotionally tired before the day even started. That's the effect of giving your energy to the wrong conversations. And it's not just what they say, it's how they say it. Toxic people often speak in ways that are passive-aggressive, manipulative, or full of hidden guilt trips. They try to get a reaction out of you. They want you to feel responsible for their problems. Or they want to pull you into drama that doesn't even belong to you. And the longer you stay in the conversation, the harder it is to keep your emotional balance. That's why limiting the time you spend talking to these people is not just helpful, it's necessary. You have to start treating your attention like it's worth something, because it is. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to say, I'm limiting conversations because you're toxic. That's not the point. The point is to quietly, calmly take your time back. Shorten the calls. End the chats earlier. Create space between their texts and your replies. Let silence do the talking. You'll be surprised how much better you feel when you simply stop engaging in conversations that always lead you downhill. And when you do talk, keep it focused. Keep it respectful. But don't stretch the time. Don't keep trying to save a conversation that's only hurting you. You also have to learn to listen to how your body feels during and after these conversations. If your stomach tightens, if your jaw clenches, if you feel anxious or irritated just by seeing their name pop up on your phone, that's a signal. That's your body telling you this costs too much. And the longer you ignore those signals, the more emotional debt you build up. Until one day you break down, not realizing that most of your stress didn't come from what you were doing. It came from who you were dealing with. Start becoming more selective about the conversations you allow, not out of ego, but out of self-respect. Some people might not like it. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. That's okay. Growth always confuses people who are stuck in patterns. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace over chaos. You don't have to keep proving you're a good person by tolerating what's clearly hurting you. Being available all the time for people who drain you doesn't make you loyal, it makes you tired. And tired people can't lead, they can't love well, and they can't show up fully. Now think about this. Imagine what your life would look like if you only gave your energy to the people and conversations that lifted you up. Imagine if you spent less time defending yourself and more time building yourself. Less time trying to be polite to someone who's being cruel, and more time being kind to yourself. That shift starts with this simple practice. Limit conversations that cost you peace. That doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It just means getting clear. You can still be kind. You can still be respectful. But you no longer have to be emotionally available to people who refuse to grow. You can listen, but from a distance. You can support, but with limits. You can care, but without sacrificing your well-being. And the best part is, the more you protect your energy, the more you have to give to the people who actually matter, the ones who fill your life, not drain it. Your time is precious. Your energy is powerful. And you've got to treat it like a resource. Because it is. Toxic people won't protect your mental health. They won't make space for your peace. That responsibility is yours. And it begins with knowing when to talk, when to walk, and when to pull back. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with strength. Quiet, steady strength. The kind that says, I've got a life to build, and I'm not wasting any more of it in conversations that take more than they give. Number 2, set strong boundaries and never apologize for them. There is a truth many people refuse to admit. Setting boundaries is not optional if you want to live a life of peace and purpose. The moment you try to please everyone or keep every door open, you end up overwhelmed, drained, and walking on eggshells. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your mental space, your time, and your heart. But the problem is, most people are afraid to set them. They worry about rejection. They think boundaries are selfish. Or they believe they owe an explanation every time they say no. This kind of thinking sets you up for frustration and emotional exhaustion. The reality is, you cannot give away your energy without limits and expect to stay healthy or happy. Boundaries are not walls. They're lines of respect you draw for yourself. When you say yes to things or people that harm you, it's because you haven't defined what you will and won't accept. Toxic people will test those limits, push the edges, and sometimes even ignore what you say if you don't make those boundaries clear and firm. But when you stand strong, they learn where to stop. It's not about being harsh or mean. It's about being clear and consistent. Imagine a small child running into the street. You don't apologize when you pull them back. You do it because their safety depends on it. Your emotional safety is just as important. The difference is, with toxic people, you need to be just as determined about protecting yourself. Boundaries come in many forms: physical space, time, emotional availability, and even what topics you allow for discussion. If someone constantly crosses your limits, it's not your job to feel guilty or explain yourself endlessly. Saying, I can't talk about that, or I need some space right now, or I won't accept disrespectful behavior are perfectly reasonable statements. You don't owe an apology for wanting to protect your peace. You are not responsible for someone else's feelings or reactions when you decide to draw a line. That responsibility lies with them. You are responsible for your well-being. When you learn to separate these two, you step into real freedom. Setting strong boundaries means practicing self-respect in its purest form. It means telling yourself, I matter, my energy matters, my emotions matter. Without this, you become a doormat for toxic people to walk all over. You become a person who sacrifices your happiness to avoid conflict, which is a lose-lose situation, because the conflict is going to come anyway. It comes from being true to yourself and standing up for what you need. So, when you do set your boundaries, don't back down. Don't soften them to avoid tension. That's where many people make mistakes. They set limits, then immediately apologize or add excuses like, I'm sorry, but, or I hope you understand. When you do this, you give away your power and invite pushback. Your boundaries deserve respect because they are the foundation of your mental health. Think about how many times you've said yes when your gut screamed no, or stayed in a situation that felt wrong because you didn't want to hurt someone's feelings. That's the very moment you lose yourself. And toxic people take advantage of this every time. They count on your kindness and hesitation. They expect you to bend and break for their convenience. But you don't have to live like that. You have the right to say no without guilt. You have the right to put your peace first. And you have the right to hold firm without apologizing for it. Most people fear rejection or confrontation, but consider this. What's worse, a few tense moments when you stand your ground, or years of silent suffering because you didn't. Toxic people will test your limits relentlessly. They will push boundaries and try to wear you down. That's why consistency is key. If you say no once, but then say yes the next time because you feel bad, you send mixed signals. That's confusing not only for them but for yourself. You'll feel weaker. Your peace will slip further away. But if you stay consistent, strong and calm, even in the face of pressure, you create a powerful message. Your boundaries are not negotiable. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out. It's about protecting the space where you can grow, thrive, and be your best self. When you honor your boundaries, you show others how you want to be treated. You teach people what you value and how you expect to be respected. This kind of clarity invites better relationships, not fewer. It attracts people who respect your time and energy, and it filters out those who don't. You will notice a shift in your daily interactions when you no longer accept less than you deserve. It can be uncomfortable at first because you might face pushback or resistance. Toxic people might get angry, complain, or try to guilt you into bending. That's normal. That's a sign you're doing something right. People who rely on your energy without giving anything back will not want to lose access to you easily. But remember, your responsibility is to yourself first. When you choose your peace, your energy is restored. You become calmer. You feel more in control of your life. And that strength radiates, inspiring others to respect your space. Another important aspect is to avoid over-explaining your boundaries. The more you explain, the more you give them reasons to argue or question. Your boundaries are your business. You don't owe anyone detailed justifications. A simple statement is enough. I need to focus on my work right now. I can't stay late today. I won't discuss that topic. Keep it clear and firm. This simplicity protects you from endless debates and keeps the boundary intact. Think about how much mental space and energy is wasted on trying to please everyone. The truth is, you cannot control how others react. You cannot force someone to respect your limits. What you can do is commit to standing by them, no matter what. That commitment changes everything. You stop feeling powerless. You start owning your life. You start waking up each day with a sense of control and calm because you're no longer at the mercy of others' moods or demands. Setting boundaries is not a one-time event. It's a practice. You will need to repeat it, reinforce it, and protect it every single day. Every interaction with toxic people is a test of your commitment. But every time you stand firm, you grow stronger. You build a better foundation for your emotional health. You become a person who doesn't just survive toxic relationships, but rises above them. Imagine a life where your time and energy are guarded like treasures, where you decide who gets access to your mental and emotional space, where you never feel guilty for saying no. That life is possible. It begins when you set strong boundaries and never apologize for them. When you respect yourself enough to protect what you need, everything changes. Your peace deepens, your confidence grows, and you live with a clarity that no toxic influence can shake. This is not just about avoiding harm. It's about claiming your right to a peaceful, fulfilling life. It starts here, with the courage to say no, to draw the line, and to hold your ground without regret. Number 3, stay calm and never mirror their toxic behavior. There's a powerful reality about dealing with toxic people that many miss. Reacting the same way they do will only pull you deeper into the mess. It's easy to let anger, frustration, or hurt take over. When someone is mean, critical, or manipulative, your first instinct might be to respond with the same energy, raise your voice, argue back, or lash out. But that kind of reaction doesn't help. It only fuels the fire. It keeps you trapped in a cycle where their toxicity controls your emotions and actions. Instead of being in control of your life, you become a puppet to their behavior. Staying calm, no matter how difficult, is the strongest move you can make. Imagine this. You walk into a room and someone immediately starts criticizing or blaming you. You feel the heat rise in your chest. Your heart pounds. The voice inside you screams to fight back. That moment is crucial. How you respond sets the tone for everything that follows. If you mirror their anger or frustration, you enter a battle you cannot win. It drags your mental state down and wastes your energy. You lose peace. You lose clarity, and the toxic person wins because they have pushed you off balance. But if you stay calm, you take the power back. You refuse to give your emotions away. You show that their negativity doesn't control you. Calmness is not about pretending everything is okay or suppressing your feelings. It's about recognizing what's happening inside you and choosing a different path. Toxic people want a reaction. They want to see you upset, rattled, or defensive, because that means they are affecting you. If you stay calm, you deny them that victory. You let them know you're in charge of your emotions. And this sends a clear message that their toxic tactics won't work on you. Staying calm protects your mental space like a shield. This kind of control takes practice. It's natural to feel hurt or angry, but acting on those feelings immediately usually leads to regret. Learning to pause, breathe deeply, and respond with intention rather than impulse changes the game. When you take that moment to settle yourself, your mind can work clearly. You can think strategically. You can respond in a way that keeps your dignity intact and prevents unnecessary conflict. Calmness doesn't mean weakness. It means strength. The strength to stay grounded even when the storm rages around you. When toxic people see you calm and unshaken, they often lose interest. They don't get the fuel they seek from your emotional reactions. Sometimes they will escalate their behavior, hoping to break your calm. But this is a test. If you hold steady, they usually back off because they realize you're not an easy target. This is the kind of power you want, the power to control yourself even when others try to push your buttons. You become the calm in the chaos. And nothing is more disarming to a toxic person than that. It's important to remember that staying calm also protects your reputation and relationships with others. When you respond calmly, people around you notice. They see maturity, control, and wisdom. You avoid creating scenes or drama that make situations worse. You preserve your credibility and keep your environment healthier. This doesn't mean you tolerate bad behavior or accept disrespect. It means you respond to it in a way that keeps you strong, clear, and respected. There's a deeper reason why mirroring toxic behavior back to someone is harmful. It changes who you are. When you engage in negative actions or words, you allow yourself to become like them. You lose sight of your values and the person you want to be. Over time, this takes a toll on your self-esteem and happiness. You can't build a life of peace if you become what you dislike. Staying calm and refusing to mirror toxicity keeps you aligned with your true self, your principles, and your goals. The practice of calmness is not about ignoring your feelings or pretending problems don't exist. It's about managing your responses so you don't give your power away. You acknowledge what is happening, you feel the emotions, but you don't let them dictate your behavior. You respond with clarity and confidence. This difference changes everything. It turns toxic encounters into opportunities to practice strength, patience, and self-control. It shifts your focus from reacting to creating, from losing control to gaining it. Sometimes staying calm means walking away from a conversation before it escalates. It means saying nothing instead of arguing. Silence can be more powerful than any harsh word. It shows you are not willing to engage in negativity. And when you return to the discussion later, you do so with a clear mind and steady heart. This prevents words said in anger or frustration that can cause damage. It also protects your mental and emotional energy for what truly matters in your life. Another way to stay calm is to remind yourself that toxic behavior reflects the other person's inner struggles, not your worth. Toxic people often act out because they're hurting or insecure. Understanding this helps you detach emotionally and not take their words personally. When you stop seeing their toxicity as a personal attack, you remove some of its power. You become an observer rather than a victim, and this perspective is incredibly freeing. Staying calm is a skill that grows stronger the more you practice it. It's not easy, especially if you've been caught up in emotional battles before. But each time you choose calm over reaction, you build resilience. You teach your mind and body new patterns. Over time, this becomes your natural response. You gain a kind of peace that no toxic behavior can break. Remember, the goal is not to control others, but to control yourself. You cannot change toxic people by matching their energy, but you can change how you respond. That change is where your true power lies. It allows you to keep your peace, maintain your dignity, and protect your well-being. The next time you find yourself facing someone who tries to pull you into negativity, focus on your breath, steady your mind, and respond with calmness. Let your presence be a force of peace. Don't waste your energy fighting fire with fire. Instead, become the calm water that lets negativity pass without stirring up storms. This is how you win. This is how you protect yourself. This is how you live free from the control of toxic people. Number 4. Use short responses to avoid unnecessary conflict. Many people don't realize how much energy gets wasted in conversations that spiral out of control with toxic people. One word or a sentence can either fan the flames or put out the fire. When you're dealing with someone toxic, long explanations, emotional responses, or trying to defend yourself often backfire. It opens the door for more arguments, manipulations, and confusion. That's why keeping your responses short and simple is a powerful way to protect yourself. It's not about being rude or dismissive. It's about being strategic, calm, and clear. The less you say, the less ammunition you give. This strategy helps you avoid unnecessary conflicts that drain your mental and emotional strength. Toxic people thrive on attention and reactions. They want you to get tangled in their drama. They want to hear your side because that gives them more to twist, argue with, or use against you. But when your responses are brief and to the point, you take away their fuel. Short answers don't invite more questions or battles. They close the door gently but firmly. Imagine how much calmer your mind would feel if you didn't have to explain yourself over and over or defend every little thing. That mental space is invaluable. A short response can be as simple as, "I see," "Okay," or "That's your opinion." These phrases do not add emotional weight or invite argument. They acknowledge without engagement. This keeps you emotionally distant from their toxicity, which is critical. The less emotional involvement, the less you're affected. You don't get pulled into their negativity. You maintain control over how much of yourself you give away. It's important to remember that short responses are not about being cold or uncaring. They are about protecting your peace. Toxic people often misinterpret calm, short replies as weakness, but that's far from the truth. In fact, it takes strength to hold back and resist the urge to fight or explain yourself in detail. It takes discipline to keep your words limited and your tone neutral. This kind of self-control sends a strong message. You will not be baited or manipulated. When you respond briefly, you also avoid the trap of oversharing. Toxic people use personal information as weapons. The more you share, the more they have to twist or attack. Keeping your answers short limits what they can grab onto. It preserves your privacy and your emotional safety. In this way, short responses are a form of boundary setting in conversation. They keep toxic influence at a distance while maintaining basic communication. Another benefit of short answers is that they save you time and energy. Engaging in long, drawn-out discussions with toxic individuals is exhausting. It drains your focus and leaves you emotionally spent. Instead of getting sucked into their drama, you spend your time on what truly matters: your goals, your peace, and your well-being. When you make short responses a habit, you create space for healthier conversations with people who truly matter. It's also useful to remember that silence can be part of this strategy. Not every comment or provocation requires a response. Sometimes the most powerful short response is no response at all. Silence allows you to keep control and not escalate tensions. It gives you time to think clearly instead of reacting impulsively. Toxic people often get frustrated by silence because it denies them the attention they seek. This frustration can make them back off, which works in your favor. One challenge with using short responses is overcoming the natural urge to justify yourself or explain your feelings. We want to be understood, and sometimes that means getting caught up in long conversations. But with toxic people, explanations are rarely received with understanding. Instead, they become points of attack. Recognizing this shifts your perspective. You realize that your energy is better spent elsewhere. You accept that not every situation needs your full emotional involvement or detailed explanation. Keeping responses short also helps you stay focused on facts rather than emotions. Emotional reactions invite more conflict. Short answers keep the conversation on neutral ground. They don't give toxic people room to escalate the drama. This can feel unnatural at first because we are wired to engage fully when challenged. But practice makes it easier. Over time, short responses become your default mode of protection. Another important aspect is tone. A short response doesn't have to sound cold or harsh. It can be calm, steady, and respectful. The goal is to communicate without opening doors to argument or drama. How you say things can prevent escalation even more than what you say. This helps maintain your dignity and keeps the interaction manageable. You might worry that short responses could make you seem indifferent or unkind. However, this is a necessary trade-off for protecting your mental health. Toxic people will never respect a long emotional response because they want to manipulate it. They will not appreciate kindness or patience if it invites more control over you. Keeping your replies short is a way to give just enough interaction to keep peace, but not enough to get trapped. This approach also strengthens your self-respect. When you refuse to engage in unnecessary conflict, you honor your own worth and boundaries. You decide what conversations deserve your time and energy. You choose peace over chaos, and that choice grows your confidence because you know you are not a victim of toxic influence. Eventually, short responses can change the dynamics of your relationships with toxic individuals. They might stop trying to pull you into arguments because they see you won't play their game. They may lose interest in pushing your buttons. While it doesn't fix their toxicity, it limits its effect on you. You protect your emotional energy and maintain your peace. Using short responses is a tool of empowerment. It's not about avoiding conflict altogether, but about controlling how and when you engage. It gives you power to decide your involvement rather than reacting out of frustration or emotion. It frees you from exhausting battles that go nowhere. Think of it this way: your words have value. When you say too much or get drawn into long discussions with toxic people, you dilute that value. You give away your energy for free. But when you keep responses brief, you preserve your energy and respect yourself. You show that your peace is not negotiable. This simple yet effective strategy transforms how you experience toxic relationships. Instead of feeling drained and overwhelmed, you feel in control and calm. You create an invisible barrier that protects your mental space. You keep your dignity intact, and you open the door for healthier, more respectful connections in your life. The power of short responses lies in their ability to defuse conflict before it starts. They let you stay above the negativity. They keep you focused on what matters. They preserve your peace and protect your energy. In a world full of challenges and toxic interactions, this kind of calm control is a gift you give yourself every day. Number 5. Focus on facts, not emotions during arguments. It's a tough truth that when toxic people confront you, the situation often feels like a storm inside your mind and heart. Emotions rise, voices raise, and suddenly what should be a simple discussion turns into a battlefield. Many fall into the trap of reacting emotionally, letting anger, frustration, or hurt steer their words and actions. But here's the reality. Letting emotions drive an argument with a toxic person only feeds their control over you. They know exactly how to push buttons, twist feelings, and create chaos. When you respond emotionally, you give them the upper hand. The key to breaking free is to focus on facts. Clear, simple, undeniable facts, and keep emotions out of it as much as possible. This shift changes everything. Arguments fueled by emotion rarely solve anything. They often escalate problems, blur the truth, and leave both sides exhausted and wounded. Toxic people count on this because it keeps them in control. They want to keep you off balance, confused, and emotionally drained. When you focus on facts instead, you remove the fuel for their manipulation. Facts are neutral, clear, and not open to interpretation or exaggeration. They ground you and keep the conversation from turning personal or chaotic. When an argument starts, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Your mind races, your chest tightens, and your voice shakes. That's when toxic people try to twist the story, blame you unfairly, or distort what happened. They rely on emotional confusion to win. If you can pull your mind back from the emotional noise and focus on the actual facts, what was said, what happened, what was done, you regain clarity and control. Facts don't argue back, they stand firm. They don't blame or accuse, they just are. This approach requires preparation and practice. It means reminding yourself before and during conversations that your goal is clarity and truth, not victory through emotions. When you stick to facts, you keep the conversation focused and productive. You avoid getting caught in emotional traps or exaggerated claims. You stop the toxic person from twisting your feelings or creating false stories. This is not easy because emotions are powerful and natural, but the more you practice, the stronger you become at separating facts from feelings. It also means listening carefully. Toxic people often speak in ways designed to confuse or provoke. They mix truth with lies and emotions with threats. To respond with facts, you must listen closely and identify what is real and verifiable. When you respond based on what you know to be true, you keep your footing steady. You don't get pulled into guessing games or emotional manipulation. You answer with clear evidence or direct experience, and this weakens the toxic person's attempts to unsettle you. Sticking to facts also protects your mental health. Emotional arguments leave you feeling drained, anxious, or angry long after the conversation ends. They play on your insecurities and vulnerabilities. Facts don't have that power. When you focus on facts, you give yourself permission to detach emotionally from the drama. You create distance between your peace and their toxicity. This helps you stay calm and clear-headed, even when the situation is tense. Focusing on facts doesn't mean you ignore your feelings or pretend you aren't hurt. It means you choose when and how to express your emotions in a way that helps you, not harms you. If you bring feelings into an argument with a toxic person, it's usually a weapon they use against you. Instead, hold your emotions gently to the side while you state the facts clearly. Then, once the facts are out, you can process your feelings away from the conflict. This way, you protect yourself from being overwhelmed. In many cases, toxic people will try to divert attention from facts by playing on emotions. They may try to make you feel guilty, ashamed, or defensive. They may use sarcasm, insults, or blame to cloud the truth. When this happens, remind yourself that these tactics are meant to derail the conversation and put you off balance. Stay focused on what is real and factual. Don't let their emotional games distract you or make you doubt yourself. It's also important to communicate facts calmly and respectfully. Stating facts doesn't mean being cold or harsh. You can be clear and firm without being aggressive. A calm voice with clear information is harder to argue with and less likely to provoke emotional attacks. This style of communication shows that you are confident, in control, and unwilling to be manipulated. It sends a message that you value truth and respect yourself. By focusing on facts, you also protect your relationships with others. When toxic conflicts happen around friends, family, or co-workers, emotional arguments can damage your reputation or cause misunderstandings. But when you respond with facts, you demonstrate integrity and maturity. People notice when you stay calm and clear in tough situations. This builds trust and respect around you. It can also inspire others to rise above drama and focus on what really matters. One challenge is that toxic people rarely want to hear facts. They often prefer chaos and drama because it feeds their need for control. This can be frustrating and exhausting. You must accept that you cannot always change their behavior or mindset. Your responsibility is to protect yourself by responding with facts, not emotions. This shift puts you in the driver's seat of your own peace and stability. Sometimes, focusing on facts means walking away when the conversation becomes impossible. If a toxic person refuses to acknowledge truth or continues to provoke emotionally, it's okay to end the discussion. You don't owe anyone your energy or time if they're determined to create conflict. Walking away protects your peace and preserves your strength. You can revisit the facts later if necessary, or choose to let go altogether. Remember that facts are your armor in toxic arguments. They keep you grounded when everything else feels unstable. They stop the cycle of emotional chaos that toxic people try to drag you into. Focusing on facts is not about winning every argument. It's about protecting your mind and heart. It's about staying true to reality, even when others try to twist it. This habit requires patience and self-awareness. It means catching yourself when emotions rise and gently guiding yourself back to facts. It means training your mind to listen carefully and speak clearly. Over time, this builds resilience and confidence. You become less reactive and more strategic. You choose how you respond, and you refuse to be a victim of toxicity. The power of focusing on facts lies in its simplicity and clarity. Facts don't carry emotional baggage or hidden meanings. They provide a solid foundation for any conversation. When you anchor yourself in facts, you protect your peace, maintain your dignity, and create a space where truth can exist despite toxicity. This is one of the strongest ways to defend yourself and keep your mental and emotional health intact. In the face of toxic people, facts are your greatest ally. They cut through the noise, expose manipulation, and keep you steady. Learning to focus on facts rather than emotions isn't just a skill, it's a lifeline to peace, clarity, and strength. It's how you hold your ground when others try to shake it. It's how you protect yourself in a world where toxicity tries to pull you down. This focus is your power. It is your path to freedom. Number 6. Walk away when the energy feels draining. The reality is that dealing with toxic people often feels like running a marathon with a backpack full of rocks. You start out hopeful, ready to face the day and handle whatever comes your way. But as the interaction drags on, you can feel your energy slipping away, your spirit growing heavier, and your mind clouded with frustration. This isn't just about feeling tired, it's about your inner strength being sapped without mercy. Many try to power through, hoping things will get better if they just keep engaging. But sometimes the most courageous and powerful action is to simply walk away. When the energy around you turns toxic and draining, walking away isn't running away. It's protecting yourself. It's preserving your mental, emotional, and even physical health. Nobody likes to admit that they need to step back or disengage. There's a common belief that facing problems head-on, no matter the cost, shows strength. But strength isn't about enduring endless harm or chaos. True strength lies in recognizing your limits and knowing when to pause or step aside. Toxic people thrive on draining your energy because it makes you vulnerable. They feed on your exhaustion and confusion. When you feel that drain deep inside, like a heavy weight crushing your chest, like a fog clouding your thoughts, that is a clear signal. It's a signal that your well-being is at risk. Walking away in those moments is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. Walking away means physically leaving the space, or mentally disengaging if physical distance isn't possible. It means refusing to continue feeding the negative energy. It's as much about protecting your mind as it is about avoiding further conflict. Toxic people often push to keep you trapped in their drama, demanding explanations, dragging you back into arguments, or bombarding you with negativity. Recognizing when to cut off that cycle is a crucial skill. You don't have to answer every call, reply to every message, or stay present in every argument. Sometimes silence and absence are your best defenses. Walking away also allows you to reclaim your peace. When you stay in toxic environments too long, it's easy to lose sight of your own value and perspective. The constant negativity can drown out your inner voice, making you doubt yourself or feel small. Taking a step back creates space for your mind and heart to reset. It's like letting fresh air into a suffocating room. You regain clarity, calmness, and control. This breathing room helps you see the situation for what it truly is, without the distortion of ongoing conflict or emotional exhaustion. This action requires practice and permission. Many people struggle with guilt or fear when thinking about walking away. They worry about what others will think or say. They fear missing out on resolving the issue or being labeled as weak or avoidant. But remember, protecting your energy is a priority that nobody else can enforce for you. It's your responsibility to honor your limits and prioritize your health. Walking away is a boundary you set for your own survival, not a surrender to toxicity. It's important to understand that walking away doesn't mean you're ignoring problems or avoiding necessary conversations forever. It simply means choosing the right time and place to engage when you are strong, clear-headed, and prepared. When the energy feels draining and toxic, continuing the interaction often makes things worse. Walking away pauses the cycle of harm. It stops the emotional bleeding and gives you time to heal. When you return to the situation, you can do so with a clearer mind and a steadier heart. Or sometimes, you might decide that walking away permanently is the best choice. Learning to walk away also means recognizing the signs that your energy is being drained. These signs might include feeling anxious or sick before interacting, having trouble sleeping after a conversation, or replaying harsh words in your mind long after the moment passes. You might notice a knot in your stomach, tension in your shoulders, or a headache creeping in after dealing with a toxic person. These physical and emotional signals are your body and mind telling you to protect yourself. Ignoring them leads to burnout, stress-related illness, and a deep sense of despair. Honoring these signs and walking away is a powerful form of self-care. Walking away creates a clear message to toxic people too. When they realize that you are willing and able to remove yourself from their harmful presence, they lose some of their power. Toxic individuals depend on your availability and emotional reactions to maintain control. When you step away, you take away their fuel. You show that you will not be their emotional punching bag or their source of endless drama. This boundary, enforced through walking away, can change the dynamics of your interactions or discourage toxic people from involving you altogether. This practice also strengthens your resilience over time. Each time you successfully walk away from draining energy, you build confidence in your ability to protect yourself. You learn to trust your instincts and honor your feelings. You become less reactive and more intentional in how you engage with others. This self-respect leads to healthier relationships and a deeper sense of peace. It helps you focus on what and who truly matters in your life, rather than being consumed by toxicity. Sometimes walking away means making a permanent break. Toxic people might be family members, co-workers, or friends who refuse to change. When you continuously feel drained and hurt, despite efforts to set boundaries, stepping away completely is a brave and necessary choice. It frees you from cycles of pain and disappointment. It opens up space for healthier connections and growth. Walking away from toxicity allows you to reclaim your life and your energy for the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. It's worth noting that walking away is not always easy. You might feel loneliness or second-guess your decision. Toxic relationships often come with complicated emotions because of history, obligation, or attachment. The fear of confrontation or the unknown can be paralyzing. But staying in harmful situations out of fear or guilt only prolongs suffering. Walking away, even when hard, is a step toward freedom and healing. It's an act of self-love and respect that pays off in peace and strength. Choosing to walk away also means planning how to care for yourself afterward. When you leave a toxic encounter, your mind and body need time to recover. Engage in activities that bring you comfort and joy. Reach out to people who lift you up. Take deep breaths and remind yourself that you did the right thing. Walking away is the first step toward rebuilding your energy and restoring your sense of self. It's not the end, but the beginning of a healthier way to live. In the end, walking away when the energy feels draining is about choosing yourself over chaos. It's about refusing to let someone else's toxicity consume your life. It's a powerful statement that your peace and well-being matter more than any argument, any guilt trip, or any expectation. Walking away protects your soul, nurtures your spirit, and sets you on a path toward a brighter, lighter future. It's one of the strongest moves you can make against toxicity, and one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. Number 7. Never try to fix or change toxic people. It's one of the toughest realities to face. Some people are simply not going to change, no matter how much you want them to. Many spend years, even decades, pouring energy into trying to fix toxic individuals. You convince yourself that if you just say the right thing, if you just show enough kindness or patience, things will improve. But the harsh truth is that trying to change toxic people is often a losing battle, and it drains your energy, peace, and spirit in ways that can be damaging. It's important to recognize that change has to come from within a person. You can't force someone to heal, grow, or improve if they don't want to. Understanding this is a critical step toward freeing yourself from toxic cycles. When dealing with toxic people, the desire to fix them comes from a place of hope, love, or responsibility. Maybe it's a family member, a close friend, or a co-worker, and you want the relationship to be better. You may believe that by being supportive or patient, you can help them see the damage they cause and encourage them to be better. This is a noble intention, but it often sets you up for frustration. Toxic people typically operate from patterns of behavior that are deeply ingrained patterns, shaped by their own pain, fears, or choices. They often lack the insight, motivation, or willingness to change. Expecting them to suddenly shift is like expecting a storm to stop just because you want sunshine. Trying to fix toxic individuals puts you in a position of constant effort without reciprocal effort. You become the caretaker, the counselor, the fixer. Your focus shifts away from your own needs and well-being, and you end up investing time and emotion into something that may never yield positive results. The emotional toll is enormous. You may feel exhausted, confused, and hopeless. You question your own worth and sanity because the toxic person refuses to meet you halfway or take responsibility for their behavior. This imbalance creates an unhealthy dynamic where your energy is drained and your self-respect chipped away. It's critical to accept that your role is not to fix others. You cannot take on someone else's problems or pain. The moment you try to fix toxic people, you risk losing sight of your own growth and happiness. Real change happens only when the individual chooses it for themselves. Without that willingness, any attempts at helping are met with resistance, denial, or manipulation. Toxic people may use your efforts against you or feel threatened by your attempts to point out their flaws. This often intensifies their negative behavior, creating more toxicity in your life rather than less. Recognizing this truth frees you to shift your focus where it belongs, on yourself and your own healing. Instead of trying to fix others, invest your energy in building strong boundaries, protecting your peace, and nurturing relationships with people who truly care and uplift you. This shift isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup, and trying to fix someone else's problems while neglecting your own well-being only leads to burnout. Your first responsibility is to yourself. You owe it to your own growth and happiness to stop carrying the weight of others' toxicity. It's natural to want to explain this to toxic people, to set them straight, or to show them a better way. But remember, toxic individuals are often defensive, resistant to feedback, or unwilling to take responsibility. Arguments about their behavior rarely lead to lasting change. Instead, they often escalate tension and leave you feeling unheard and frustrated. The key is to stop engaging in battles that have no clear resolution. When your efforts to fix someone aren't welcomed, it's a sign to step back and conserve your energy. Your time is precious, and it's important to spend it with people who respect and value you. Trying to fix toxic people can also trap you in cycles of codependency. You may find yourself excusing their bad behavior or taking the blame for their reactions because you believe it will help them heal. This is dangerous territory because it undermines your sense of self and empowers the toxic person's harmful habits. Codependency distorts relationships and keeps you stuck in a pattern where you sacrifice your needs for someone who may never change. Breaking free from this requires accepting that your love or effort won't change someone else. They must want to change on their own. Sometimes toxic people will ask for help or promise change, but their actions don't follow. This inconsistency creates confusion and false hope. It's important to recognize that words without actions don't create real change. You need to look at behavior, not just hear promises. Consistent toxic behavior means the person is not ready or willing to change. Holding on to hope that they will suddenly transform only prolongs your pain. When you let go of this hope, you open yourself up to peace and clarity. Another harsh truth is that you can't control how others respond to you, but you can control how you respond to them. Trying to fix toxic people often leads to frustration because you are trying to control what's beyond your reach. Instead, focus on controlling your own reactions, setting clear boundaries, and protecting your well-being. This mindset puts power back in your hands and helps you avoid the trap of feeling responsible for someone else's toxicity. It's helpful to remind yourself that sometimes walking away or distancing yourself is the best fix available. You can't change toxic people, but you can change how much space they occupy in your life. Reducing your contact or cutting ties altogether may be necessary to preserve your health and happiness. This decision takes courage but is an act of self-respect. It acknowledges that you deserve relationships that nurture and support you, not drain and harm you. The process of accepting that toxic people cannot be fixed may bring feelings of sadness or loss. You may mourn the relationship you hoped for or the person you wish they could be. These feelings are natural and valid. Allow yourself to feel them without judgment. Healing comes from acknowledging your emotions while maintaining firm boundaries. Letting go of the need to fix others frees you from emotional turmoil and opens the door to healthier connections. Your energy and attention are precious. When you stop trying to fix toxic people, you reclaim that energy for your own growth, happiness, and success. You create space for relationships that bring joy and peace. You open the door for a life where your mental and emotional health are prioritized, not compromised. The choice to stop fixing toxic people is a powerful step toward freedom and self-love. Ultimately, change is a personal journey. When you accept that you cannot change toxic individuals, you begin to focus on what you can control: your responses, your boundaries, and your self-care. This shift empowers you to break free from toxic cycles and build a life filled with respect, kindness, and genuine connection. You deserve that. Number 8. Keep your personal life private around toxic people. Life has a way of teaching us difficult lessons, and one of the toughest is realizing that not everyone deserves to know the intimate details of your life. When you deal with toxic people, sharing too much about yourself isn't just risky, it can be downright dangerous to your peace of mind. Many of us have experienced that gut-wrenching moment when someone uses what we trusted them with against us. This breach isn't just about broken trust. It's about how toxic individuals feed on your vulnerabilities and use your personal information to control, manipulate, or hurt you. The harsh reality is that in the presence of toxic people, protecting your personal life becomes not just wise, but essential for your emotional safety. Toxic people thrive on information that gives them power. They are skilled at twisting your words, using your struggles, hopes, or weaknesses as weapons in their games. When you openly share your fears or dreams with them, you're handing over ammunition. They don't share your interest in your well-being. Instead, they might exploit your vulnerabilities to undermine your confidence or create drama that drains your energy. This is why keeping your personal life private is not about hiding who you are. It's about shielding yourself from unnecessary harm. The more they know, the easier it is for them to manipulate your reality and cloud your judgment. It's natural to want to connect and be honest with others. Human connection is vital, but there's a difference between genuine sharing with trustworthy people and oversharing with those who don't have your best interests at heart. Toxic individuals often lack respect for boundaries, and once they have your private details, they might use them to gossip, spread misinformation, or pit others against you. This behavior can isolate you, erode your support system, and make you feel vulnerable in places where you should feel safe. Protecting your privacy is a way of reclaiming your power and choosing who gets to know your story. Many people underestimate how much damage a toxic person can do by simply knowing too much. It's not just about big secrets, but the small, seemingly harmless details too. Your routines, relationships, emotional states, or even small frustrations can be twisted into stories that serve the toxic person's agenda. They might bring up past mistakes to embarrass you or exaggerate your challenges to make you seem weak. These tactics are designed to destabilize you emotionally. When you keep your personal life private, you limit their ability to use your life against you. It creates a barrier that protects your emotional integrity and keeps your life from becoming a source of drama. Setting this boundary requires deliberate action. It's not enough to think, "I won't tell them." You need to be mindful and cautious in what you reveal and to whom. This means being selective with your conversations and careful about what information you share, especially when you sense toxicity in a relationship. When someone consistently makes you feel uneasy or drained after conversations, it's a clear sign to hold back. This practice isn't about mistrust of everyone. It's about protecting yourself from those who have shown they don't respect your boundaries. Keeping your personal life private also means learning to be comfortable with silence or vague answers when pressed. Toxic people might push for details to use against you, but you don't owe anyone your whole story. Simple responses or changing the subject are tools you can use to maintain your privacy without confrontation. Your right to privacy isn't negotiable, and you don't have to justify your boundaries to anyone who disrespects them. Over time, you'll find that this strategy not only protects you, but also teaches toxic people that you are not an open book to be manipulated. Another challenge is that sometimes toxic people are close to you, family members, co-workers, or longtime friends. It's difficult to distance yourself physically or emotionally from these people, so keeping your personal life private becomes your strongest defense. In these cases, discretion is your best friend. Avoid sharing your struggles, successes, or intimate feelings around them. Maintain a professional or neutral tone in conversations. Remember, the goal is not to build walls of hostility, but to preserve your well-being and dignity. When you withhold personal details, you reduce opportunities for toxic behavior to take root. Privacy around toxic people isn't about secrecy or deception, it's about respect for yourself. Your life is your story to tell, and you get to decide who the audience is. This is especially true when dealing with those who tend to spread negativity or drain your emotional resources. By controlling the flow of personal information, you maintain control of your narrative. You protect your reputation, your relationships, and most importantly, your peace. The less toxic people know, the less power they have to disrupt your life or derail your progress. This mindset also encourages a healthy focus on building relationships with people who deserve your trust and openness. When you save your vulnerability for those who uplift and support you, you create stronger bonds that nurture your growth. Sharing your personal life becomes a source of strength and connection rather than risk and pain. You start to invest in relationships that respect your boundaries and celebrate your true self, which boosts your confidence and resilience in all areas of life. At times, keeping your personal life private may feel lonely or isolating because you might want to share your burdens. When that happens, seek out safe spaces, trusted friends, counselors, or support groups where your stories are met with empathy, not judgment. This conscious choice to protect your private life from toxic people is a form of self-care. It's an act of courage and wisdom that says you value your mental and emotional health enough to guard it fiercely. Privacy is a powerful tool that shields you from unnecessary conflict and emotional turmoil. It's a boundary that helps you preserve your energy and focus on what truly matters, your well-being and growth. Toxic people feed on your openness and vulnerabilities, but when you choose to keep your personal life private, you take back control. You stop being a target and start being the architect of your own life. This shift can transform your experience from one of struggle and exhaustion to one of peace and empowerment. Ultimately, maintaining privacy around toxic people is about reclaiming your life from chaos and negativity. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it by exploiting your trust. This choice isn't easy, but it's essential for anyone serious about living with clarity and purpose. You owe it to yourself to protect your personal life with the same dedication you protect your dreams and your future. The more you guard your private world, the stronger and more peaceful your life becomes. Number 9. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. There is a hard truth many people discover the hard way. The company you keep has a direct impact on how you feel every single day. It's not just about casual acquaintances or passing interactions. It's about the core group of people around you, those who influence your thoughts, your mood, and your actions. Toxic people drain your energy, weigh down your spirit, and chip away at your confidence, but the opposite is also true. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift you can change your life. It can rebuild your sense of self-worth, fuel your motivation, and help you rise above the negativity that others bring. This is not just advice, it's a principle that plays out in every successful, fulfilled person's life. When your circle is filled with individuals who believe in you, celebrate your victories, and challenge you to be better, you start to notice a shift inside yourself. Their support feels like a breath of fresh air, lifting away the heavy weight of doubt and discouragement. It's like having a steady source of encouragement that pushes you forward when life gets tough. These people don't just talk a good game, their actions match their words. They show up for you in meaningful ways, and their presence reminds you that you are not alone in your struggles. The power of positive relationships is undeniable. They create a safe space where you can be authentic without fear of judgment or manipulation. Many people underestimate how much toxic relationships can sabotage their growth, but even more, don't realize the power of surrounding themselves with uplifting people. These are the people who see your potential when you can't. They remind you of your strengths when your own confidence falters. They inspire you through their own actions and hold you accountable without tearing you down. Being around such individuals changes your mindset. You begin to expect better for yourself and refuse to settle for anything less than what you deserve. The company you keep shapes your habits, your attitudes, and your future. In contrast, toxic people focus on criticism, negativity, and drama. They drain your emotional reserves and leave you feeling depleted. The difference between them and uplifting people is stark. One group builds you up and the other tears you down. That's why choosing who you spend time with is one of the most important decisions you'll ever make. It requires courage because sometimes toxic people are familiar or even family. But your mental and emotional health must take priority. If someone consistently leaves you feeling worse after interacting with them, it's a clear sign that their presence is harmful to you. Protecting yourself means making room for those who add value to your life. This doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out who's less than perfect. Everyone has flaws, but the difference lies in intention and impact. Uplifting people show respect for your boundaries, listen without judgment, and bring out the best in you. They celebrate your progress, not compete with it. They're honest but kind, and their feedback helps you grow instead of tearing you down. Spending time with these individuals feels energizing rather than exhausting. It's a feeling of mutual respect and genuine care that you won't find in toxic relationships. This energy fuels your motivation and helps you maintain a positive outlook even when facing challenges. Building this circle of uplifting people takes effort and awareness. It means paying attention to how you feel after interactions. Do you leave conversations feeling encouraged or drained, supported or criticized, valued or ignored? Your feelings are the best indicator of who should stay close and who should not. It's also important to seek out environments where uplifting people gather, whether that's in community groups, professional networks, or social clubs. These places are fertile ground for meeting those who inspire and support your growth. It's about being intentional with your time and energy and not settling for toxic dynamics simply because they're familiar or easy. Sometimes it means having tough conversations or even stepping away from relationships that no longer serve you. That takes strength because you might fear losing people or facing loneliness. But in reality, making space for uplifting people invites healthier connections into your life. It's a cycle of growth. Positive relationships attract more positivity. When you commit to surrounding yourself with the right people, you also begin to notice how much stronger and more confident you become. The negativity from toxic people loses its grip, and you start living life with renewed energy and purpose. The impact of uplifting relationships also goes beyond emotional support. These people often challenge you to take action, to be better, and to pursue your goals with passion. They hold you accountable in a way that is loving, not controlling. They push you to stretch beyond your comfort zone and remind you why your dreams matter. This kind of support is invaluable because it doesn't let you settle for mediocrity. Instead, it encourages you to rise to your full potential. It's a powerful dynamic that transforms your outlook on life and your belief in what's possible. When surrounded by uplifting people, you also learn important lessons about how to be that kind of person for others. Positive relationships are reciprocal. The energy you receive is the energy you give. You become more patient, more compassionate, and more understanding. You start to see how kindness and encouragement can change someone's day or even their life. This ripple effect extends beyond your immediate circle and into every part of your world. Your relationships become sources of strength rather than stress, and that makes all the difference in your daily experience. In truth, the decision to surround yourself with uplifting people is a step toward reclaiming your peace and happiness. It's about valuing yourself enough to protect your spirit and nurture your growth. You can't control others, but you can control who you let into your inner circle. That choice is powerful. It's a declaration that you won't settle for negativity and that you deserve relationships that elevate you. When you embrace this principle, you create a life filled with encouragement, hope, and opportunity. The journey to build this circle of uplifting people may not be easy, especially if you've been surrounded by toxicity for a long time. It requires patience, self-awareness, and sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone. But the reward is worth every effort. A supportive network helps you face life's challenges with resilience. It strengthens your resolve and fills you with the energy to keep moving forward. You begin to experience life in a way that feels lighter and more joyful. It's not just about avoiding toxic people. It's about intentionally creating a life where your spirit can thrive. Ultimately, surrounding yourself with people who uplift you is one of the clearest acts of self-respect and self-love you can practice. It protects your mental health, encourages your growth, and brings joy to your everyday life. When you make this choice, you empower yourself to live fully, confidently, and peacefully. The people around you shape your world more than you realize, so choose wisely. Choose those who lift you higher, challenge you kindly, and celebrate the person you are becoming. This is how you build a life worth living. Number 10. Practice self-care after toxic interactions daily. There's a reality that many people live with every day and yet rarely acknowledge. Toxic interactions don't just pass by without leaving their mark. When you face toxic people, whether it's a quick encounter or a long conversation, something inside you changes. Your energy feels depleted. Your emotions might feel raw. You may even notice physical tension in your shoulders or a tightness in your chest. This isn't weakness. It's your mind and body reacting to negativity and stress. The damage isn't always visible right away, but it accumulates quietly and relentlessly. That's why practicing self-care after these moments is not optional. It's essential for your well-being and your ability to stay strong. Self-care after dealing with toxic people is about more than just feeling better in the moment. It's about rebuilding what the toxic interaction took from you. Think of it as restoring your inner balance and protecting your mental and emotional health. If you don't take this step, the weight of negativity can follow you into the next conversation, the next task, and eventually your overall outlook on life. The simplest way to describe this is that you must be intentional about healing and recharging after these encounters. It might be tempting to ignore the discomfort and push forward, but that only lets the poison linger longer in your system. There are many ways to practice self-care, but the key is to find what works for you and do it consistently. It can start with simple acts like taking deep, slow breaths to calm your nervous system immediately after a toxic exchange. You can feel the tension in your body begin to loosen as you focus on your breathing. This helps signal to your brain that the danger is passing, that you are safe now. From there, engaging in activities that soothe your mind and body becomes crucial. It could be a walk outside where fresh air and nature remind you there is more beauty and goodness in the world than the toxicity you just faced. Or it could be spending quiet time reading, journaling, or listening to music that lifts your spirit. Physical care plays an important role too. Toxic interactions often cause stress, and stress shows up in the body. You might notice headaches, tight muscles, or fatigue after spending time with a toxic person. Giving yourself permission to rest and nourish your body with good food, water, and sleep is an act of resistance against the damage toxicity tries to inflict. It's a way of saying to yourself, "I am worth care and attention." When you prioritize these basic needs, you build a foundation that makes it easier to handle future challenges. Emotional self-care is just as important. Toxic people often leave you feeling invalidated or criticized, which can shake your sense of self-worth. After an encounter, spend time reconnecting with your values and strengths. Remind yourself who you are and what you stand for. This can be through affirmations, reflecting on past successes, or talking with a trusted friend who sees your true worth. These moments of reflection restore your confidence and help you reject the negative messages the toxic person tried to send. You become grounded again in your own truth, not their distortion. Sometimes, self-care means setting firm boundaries with yourself about how much energy you will invest in these relationships going forward. It could mean limiting future interactions, changing the topics you discuss, or deciding not to engage when negativity starts to rise. This is a form of self-respect and protection that keeps your emotional bank account from running dry. When you recognize your limits and honor them, you strengthen your ability to face toxic people without losing yourself in the process. Incorporating self-care after toxic moments into your daily routine creates a powerful habit that builds resilience over time. You don't have to wait for a crisis to take care of yourself. Daily habits like meditation, exercise, or simply spending a few moments in gratitude can armor you against the impact of negativity. These routines give you a steady supply of peace and strength, so when a toxic interaction does happen, you recover faster and don't carry the weight longer than necessary. The cumulative effect of these practices is a stronger, more balanced you. It's also crucial to acknowledge that self-care is not selfish. There's a mistaken belief that taking time for yourself, especially in the context of relationships, means you're weak or avoiding responsibility. The truth is the opposite. You cannot pour from an empty cup. When you actively care for your mental and emotional health, you show up better for yourself and for others. You become more patient, more compassionate, and more centered. The energy you invest in self-care returns to you multiplied in the quality of your life and relationships. If self-care after toxic encounters becomes a regular part of your life, you start to notice something important. Toxic people lose their power over you. Their words and actions don't sink as deeply because you've created a buffer of strength and clarity. You're no longer reactive, you're responsive. You maintain your peace rather than lose it. This shift is not just about survival, it's about reclaiming your life and your joy. Toxic people will always exist, but they do not have to control your mood, your energy, or your self-worth. Lastly, practicing self-care is a form of empowerment. It's you taking control of your own well-being rather than handing it over to the chaos that toxic people create. It's a daily choice to protect your mind and heart from unnecessary pain. It's a commitment to yourself that your peace matters, and you will do what it takes to keep it. When you live by this principle, you become an example for others. You inspire those around you to also prioritize their health and boundaries. This creates a ripple effect that spreads beyond your personal life. In the end, practicing self-care after toxic interactions is about survival, healing, and growth. It is how you refuse to let toxicity define your day, your feelings, or your future. It's a practice that requires awareness, intention, and action, but its rewards are immeasurable. You step into your power, you restore your peace, and you build a life that no toxicity can break.